Hey guys, welcome to another episode on Spill the Chai Tea podcast with Britt, and
It's me again.
I don't understand why that's so hard. Anyways, it's fine. If you guys hear, I'm a little under the weather today, and we've been waiting. Why are you laughing? It's not a joke. It's not funny. Oh my God, this is not starting well. Anyways, MJ was sick for what, a week and a half?
Yeah, for a while.
She was like sick. We think she got like influenza, even though she tested negative. But that poor kid was like sick. And, you know, when you're sick, all you want is your mom. And when she was sick, she decided to cough in my mouth. I'm glad it's funny. I'm so glad. I'm like loving on her, being sweet with her, all these things. And then all of a sudden we're with my aunt and she like coughs. And I kept telling her, your elbows catch germs. That's my thing I tell her. Your elbows catch your germs, so cough into your elbow. And she did a bunch. And then all of a sudden, I swear I was like mid-sentence and she looked at me, coughed in my mouth. And my aunt was like, yeah, I saw stuff go from her mouth into your mouth. Hence my sickness.
You're surviving.
I know, it's not horrible.
You're a
It's just all this
survivor.
nasally.
You're a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
Well, I'm trying to make it personal to you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyways, I was like, we're going to wait until I feel better because I don't want to sound all gross on this podcast. I was like, you know what? Y'all don't come here for it to be polished. Like, you guys just come here to listen.
Ain't that the truth?
So, but
I'm pretty polished.
I almost gave my PJs in a blanket. Like, I might actually go out and grab some blanket. But no, today I thought we would talk about something really interesting. There is a brand new Hulu documentary on right now, and it's a heavy one. It is and I forget like the actual title of it, but it's the Ruby Franke documentary. Do you know who Ruby Franke is?
Nope.
Okay. So let me give you like a quick story. And by the way, this episode is going to be kind of a lot. Like the story is going to be it's a little heavy. And then we're going to get into, don't be too scared. Then we're going to get into, I think, some really good nitty gritty details on our vlogging experience, our journey on just like boundaries. And we're going to get into it. Right?
Wait, when you say like it's going to be a lot and you gave everybody a warning, what does that mean? Yeah. Some people might not want to listen to this one. It might be like too much for them.
I think
that's okay because I think I'm one of those people.
You're one of those people. Okay,
so
cool.
I have
You're
to
not
leave.
Gonna listen later. Cool. So disrespectful.
No.
I think that this, like for adults, it's fine. I think for kids, it's fine. I'm watching you talk to them. You're so rude. I do think that it's a heavy topic though. So if you're coming to just giggle and go hee 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 hee, it may not be today. That's okay.
Maybe not today.
You
still get a little bit of that just because of the nature of who
we are.
We're
going to fight and it's going to be okay. But okay. So let me tell you about Ruby Franke.
Okay.
All right. I feel like I've told you little bits about this already. So Ruby Franke, I forgot her husband's name. Ruby Franke, basically, she's a vlogger. And she had this vlog or this YouTube channel called 8 Passengers. And on 8 Passengers, it was
she had 8 kids, didn't she?
Well, it was a family of 8. So she had 6 kids.
Family of 8.
So it was like the 8 passengers in a van, and it was supposed.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a cool idea, right? Like it was a cool concept, and she starts going, and I think her channel just blew up really fast. And so she was just trying to be like this perfect mom online, showing her perfect family, which I do think was very prevalent back then. I think we're in a little bit of a different time now, but not really, not fully, right? Because I think that people still want to show like their perfect lives on social media.
Yeah, I think that we polarize things. So I think either we want to show the perfect life or we want to show like all the crap and like
the complete opposite.
And it's kind of funny. I have a friend who's a comedian and he was like kind of poked fun at like the culture of this on a recent thing.
Yep.
And he like poked fun of somebody who's trying to be like authentic with their like chaos, but they still put the camera up and they still like, you know.
So it's us.
No, it's not
He's
us.
He's making fun of us. I'm so bad. This is such a great
Maybe he was making fun of us. And that's why he sent it to me.
You just realizing this? Okay, you're so dumb. Anyways,
Shama, were you making fun of us?
Let's go back to this. So she starts this whole thing, and it literally just blows up. It gets really big, really fast. But like, so it's her. I think she has a kid while it's going. So there's like a whole gender reveal. So she gets pregnant, whatever.
With her, what, 6th?
6th kid, yeah.
Yep.
And back then, like, the kids loved it. Like, and I watched the whole documentary. I think it's like only like 3 episodes or something like that. And I watched the whole thing. And at first, the kids liked it. It was fun. It was exciting. Like, they would go places. People would know them, would take pictures. But then it went from Like they were having some moments vlogging and like taking, recording their lives too. Every second of their day was this, because the mom became obsessed with vlogging their lives. Right. And so then it was like morning till night. Everything they did was all about the vlog. They went on a family vacation. It was not to like have fun and to go hang out as a family. It was, oh, this is content.
Yeah, it became a job.
It became a job. And so then the kids started to not like it. They started to kind of have like some attitudes around it, which again, right, they're kids. We get it. But then the documentary starts to show the mom kind of shift. And then it was like, sit her flipping butt on the couch. And there's all these little clips from it. Like that's like one of the viral clips right now. And it's like, you could see her getting more and more angry. And then there was another clip where it was like, hey, to the older kids, I think it was the oldest son. It was like, hey, who are you named after? And you could tell he just wasn't in it. Like didn't want to record, wasn't there. And he says it and she's like, okay, can you just like be happy? Can you just like, act happier and be more energetic and excited? And he was like, Mom, I don't think I can today. Like, I'm just not feeling it. And she's like, well, fake it. Fake happy. And that was like the big shift. And then it's like all the clips are her screaming at the kids, her trying to record this perfect little clip while she's screaming at them behind the scenes. And I guess they have like hundreds of hours of behind the scenes now. And so all of this, then she goes on and she basically, one of her kids starts having some issues at school. And he kind of says like, he's part of like the people that are interviewed for this documentary. He was like, I was done. I was a kid. I was rebelling against everything. I didn't want to do this anymore. So I just started acting out.
Yeah.
I think he got expelled from school. And so they brought in this like therapist who you find out later was actually not a therapist. And they bring in this girl. Her name's Jody Hildebrandt. And she's batshit crazy. Like she's crazy. So then she comes in and essentially over the next however long, she brainwashes Ruby. But then Ruby's already like there's a lot of people that think that she was already pretty crazy before. And that Jody just kind of came in and just
like put a steroid shot into it.
I think so. Yeah. And so then Sally, and I don't want to get into all the details of that, but basically what ends up happening is they kick out the husband. So he gets like kind of roped into all of this, but then it's very spiritualized as well because they were all Mormon. And so it was very big on like, we need to be perfect. We need to have the perfect family. At this point, she said they're making like 6 figures a month on a month on their YouTube channel.
Dang,
like dude. They were killing it. But again, her like you could just watch the family.
Were they really killing it or were they killing themselves?
Well, they were killing themselves because literally like the whole thing was at first they were all having fun. Then it's like you could tell the kids hated it.
Yeah.
No one wanted to be there, but the mom was loving it. So then the dad and her, they basically joined Jody's like, I don't know, she had some like therapists, like not retreat, but like this like, I don't know what to call it, this group, right? So then at first that like she gasses up the dad. She's like, yeah, like you're the look of this. Like you're one of the faces of this. And they bring them in because they're very known, right? And there's another therapist that actually talks in the show and is like, yeah, like I used to think she was so cool. I was trained under her for a little bit. And then I started to see all her red flags. And so he kind of separates himself and does other things. Then he starts to get some of her old clients coming there, completely broken and hurt because of her. And then he's like, wow, this is not good. All these things. All of a sudden, Jody turns on the husband. And while he used to be like the face of everything, now he's like the face of what not to do. Okay. So then basically tells Ruby, you need to kick him out. And like every marriage should have a separation. So then starts giving this weird doctrine, right? He leaves. And then over the next, I think it was like 6 months. So maybe, no, at least a year because he was gone for, I think, a year. He hadn't seen them for a year. Essentially, she kicks out her 2 oldest kids and then starts abusing the rest. And it's really sad. And then like you could just see her YouTube channel just shifted. It changed. One of the kids ended up escaping. And then they said like the mom thought they were demons. And it was just this really broken, like very sad, scary situation. But now the documentary is all about like the horrors of family vloggers and the horrors of all these things. And, her sister, Ruby's sisters actually are still vlogging and doing a lot of these things. And then her oldest daughter is now basically speaking out against family vloggers. And I won't lie, I don't know the full extent of what she's saying. I know the clips, like the parts I've heard that the older daughter is saying is that there should be a law, I agree with this, there should be a law stating that if kids are a part of family vlogs, they should get paid.
Yeah, I agree with that.
100%. But there's no there's no laws or anything that protects kids in those situations. So she's like, this is a problem. And really she says that like kids should be, shouldn't be on these things. So that kind of leads honestly to us. We are family vloggers. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to take some time today to talk about, I think, our opinions on how do we safeguard kids. And obviously, Ruby Frank was a completely different situation. She was psychotic, right? And there's a lot of things going off with it. Like the dad's like, I didn't know. But like all the clips of her screaming and yelling at these kids, like he knew all that, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so obviously that's a different situation. It's to this extreme level. But I wanted to kind of talk about what we do to safeguard our kids, what we do to make sure that we can never get to an unhealthy point, right? Mm-hmm. And then honestly, I asked our audience a bunch of questions. And so they have a bunch of questions that I have on my phone that we can kind of go into and answer as well.
Okay.
So first, why don't you kind of share some of the things that you like that we do that maybe safeguards our family as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things you just mentioned is that we pay the kids. Like,
yes.
It is. I think the difference is like you say, oh, we're doing this family video logging thing, and it starts off that way. I think it really does typically start off that way. But then all of a sudden, depending on your success and like the visibility and all of that, it does kind of turn into a job, you know, because there's opportunity to like, I think the thing that I love about what we do is we're trying to show as best as we can the honesty of intercultural, chaotic family with 4 kids and, a mom who's like doing all this wild stuff with social media and having explosive growth, like my stuff that I do, like for my own vocation and work. And like, how do we make that work? And so I think there's something that's really beneficial, which is we're not unique. Like there are so many families that are doing exactly this. And yet they're like, how do we do this? And are we crazy that are we the only ones that like wake up in the morning and it feels like we're just trying to catch our breath the entire day from the moment we wake? And so I think that there's something really good about that. But then at some point, it's like, it does kind of become a job because it's
100%
like, hey. And so I think one of the things I love that we do is we pay the kids, and we're starting to teach the kids this is a job. Like this is, and another big massive thing that we do, like any job, you can quit or you can get fired.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're either an employee or an employer.
Yeah. Like we don't force our kids. All of our kids have a choice on if they want to partake or not.
Yeah. And in different seasons, you might have noticed that different kids have bounced out, you know? They're like,
or they just show up less.
Yeah. Or they just don't have it to give. And I think that we've had to just really fight for honoring that level of honesty, from them. And it is a struggle because it's like, we know we're going to get questions. We know that, people are going to ask or wonder exactly, and we also are very well aware of the wild accusations that get thrown against us,
Oh, you have a great family. Did you know that?
Huh?
When you don't show up because you're working or you're traveling, it's because you've left me or we're not together,
right?
Or because you have a different family.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the things that I really appreciate that we do is we give the kids agency, I think, in terms of their ability to choose what they participate in, what they don't participate in. And I think that's an important part of what we do.
And I think too, I like what he's about. It's a job, because I do think that, and I teach the kids that, like, you can't go to work with a really crap attitude and expect to stay and get paid for the day. So like our kids get a set amount every month, and then we also have savings accounts for all of our kids for like bigger money, because I also don't think it's really healthy to just give them access to too much money either. Like honestly, because I do a lot of brand deals, and when that happens, like I don't want to just give them access to all of it. So it's in a savings account, so that as they're ready, they can have that.
Yeah, and then we're trying to be smart with the savings account. So we have a financial planner who comes in and says, hey, like they can use this for a down payment for their first house. They can use this for college tuition. They can use this to invest in their own business, in their own company that they want to start. Like
it gives them again, the agency for that.
Yeah, I think for us, it's like that's like an amazing idea to think that, that we could provide for our kids something that you and I didn't have, which is like that risk. Like you can take a risk and have a safety net.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think too, like we've had to have a lot of conversations with our kids too around the attitudes, because some days you show up, you don't want to be there, right? And I'll be honest, Liam and I are those two that tend to butt heads a lot, because he's older. He wants to, I think, find his own voice. He wants to figure these things out. And there's been a lot of times where I've had to apologize to Liam. When it comes to trending videos is a good example. I can guarantee you that if we do a trending sound with our entire family, it'll go viral. Why? Because people just love to see our entire family in one video, and those trending sounds are funny. And so I was always like, let's do more of them. And Liam hated them because it was a lot more work. It was a lot more pressure. I think it was a lot more expectation. And honestly, I had a temper with it. And so we had to get to a point where Liam's like, hey, Mom, those ones are not fun. We end up fighting or things end up happening. And so we sat down, like me, Liam, and Levi, and Lucas. We sat down and we talked about it. I said, what are videos that you guys like to do? And they all told me. I said, what are videos you don't like to do? And so we shifted our content. It's one of the reasons you guys don't see a lot of trending sounds with us anymore. Right? And that's because I had to listen to that, and I had to honor the fact that that one became difficult. So we agreed to do them once in a while. And I think that that's really important because, it is a job, but I'm not going to force them to do content they don't want to do. So that was a big one for me too, is we give them veto power to say like, hey, like here's content I don't want to create, or hey Mom, that one makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to dance. Like you won't ever really see Liam and Levi typically dance in our videos, right? That's because they don't want to. And that's fine. That gives them boundaries to be able to kind of have within that. I think another thing is that they can quit at any point. I've told them all, I said, you're going to probably hit a point where you don't want to do this anymore. And that can be at any moment. And all you have to do is tell us.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, well, won't people get upset? Won't people care? I'm like, yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah.
People can deal. And obviously that means they wouldn't get their idea was that they wouldn't get paid. So we've said there's other ways to make that same money within our channel behind the scenes. So we give them agency. We figure it out. And again, there are days where they show up and they say, I don't want to do anything today. And we figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between being in front of screens and being behind the scenes, And so it's like, yeah, there's all kinds of opportunities for them to grow and to participate in that. Yeah.
We also, I'll say one more thing and then we'll dig into the questions. We don't show private moments. So today, you'll see it on the vlog pretty soon, Emmy didn't want to go to school. And she was struggling and there were some tears. And typically, Emmy is the most prominent one on the vlogs in the mornings because she's with me all morning and she wants to be there. And she's literally at my side the whole time. So today in the vlog, I said, hey, you guys aren't going to see Emmy as much today because she doesn't want to go to school and we're struggling. And I'm not going to show her crying on screen.
Yeah.
I think that's a private moment. And I don't think that's something that she would want to look back on like, oh, wow, you just shared all of me crying.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, I shouldn't be recording. I should be consoling my daughter and talking to her.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to show my kids getting in trouble on screen. I'm not going to show, I'll show light bickering if they're being silly. But if they're serious, I won't show that. Right? And so there's different things that we've all talked about. Like, hey, we don't want that on screen. And we make sure that our safety and our privacy is first.
Yeah.
And I think that you'll definitely see that with the Ruby Frank stuff. She showed everything. She showed her kids hitting puberty, talking about that, going bra shopping, getting in big trouble.
But I think part of that too is you, how do I say it? There's something about the audience too that feeds off of that kind of stuff. And so if we begin to succumb to oh, we're just gonna do anything and everything for the views, then you will eventually do anything and everything for the views, And that's where I think for you and I think we, in our relationship and our marriage and as a family, we do have boundaries.
Yeah.
Where it's I could do this video and I could do this reaction thing and it could be super viral with a billion views. And it's but so what? What does that do for our soul? What does that do for our family? What does that do for our mental health? And so I think that there's a part of that too. Just just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should do it.
Yeah. Well, and there's a video that everyone always asks for, and I've purposely never done it because I think it would hurt our kids' feelings, is have Emmy run to her favorite sibling. I get asked that probably in every video at this point. And I've never done it because it would hurt my kids' feelings. Whoever wasn't chosen.
Yeah. I think we have some of those early of like Liam and Levi and Luke
when she
it was
was
like
a
very
baby.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
teeny tiny
But that's a
tiny.
good example. Those are like private home videos. Those are like,
Yeah.
for us, that we just enjoy. And I do think that's another thing that you do a good job of is sometimes you're in the moment, you're recording really fast. And so Britt does a really great job of saying, well, this is just for us guys. Or like, hey, this is for the log, like the video log, or this is for TikTok, this is for social. And so that actually like that level of communication is really helpful.
Well, and honestly, I think Liam and Levi taught me that a lot because they'll be like sometimes in the moment, hey, mom, are you doing this for us or for TikTok? And I had to start thinking about that because there's times where their hair is not done or, they don't feel at their best or they just don't want to be on. They want that private moment.
Yep.
And so I think part of that for us is I want to work really hard on teaching my kids communication to be able to say that because I would never want to look back and say, wow, I showed too much. I showed things my kids didn't want me to show. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I'll quit before I would ever let, honestly, any of this hurt our kids. Yeah. And so those are just some of the things. I think boundaries are really important. And because our kids are a part of all of this, they also have a say.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I put this on Instagram and I asked everyone their questions based on like the documentary, our lives, kind of what we're doing. And these are some of the ones that popped up. All right. You ready, babe?
Mm-hmm.
Do your kids actually enjoy filming? Because sometimes they're like, stop filming. Why are you recording? Ha ha ha. Yeah, I think they like it. Again, there's days that they like it and there's days that they don't. I think that in general, they like the vlogs and trending sounds they don't really like anymore. Although Lucas and Levi still like those.
Yeah. I would say that phrase, like stop recording, I think there's a fine line between that. And for the most part, it's always like fun. It's like joking. I do that with you all the time.
Oh,
it's
all
like
the time.
Pretty much every morning video log is me acting like I'm annoyed and,
Punk.
yeah, that's
Sometimes
not because
you're not a morning person.
I was literally going to say, that's not because it's like a video log. It's just because I hate the morning. And so you're getting it for real, and I think
we all have really dry humor. And so sometimes it's hard to catch that.
Yeah.
If you don't really know us, like we all have really dry, like we're sarcastic.
Yeah.
So half the time when you guys see stop recording, knock it off, like they're kidding. Otherwise I wouldn't have shown it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Would
and
you agree
honestly,
with that?
because if it was real, they wouldn't leave it alone. Like it would be like, oh no.
They put their hand on my phone.
Yeah. Nope, we're done. And so like there's definitely a vibe to that.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just they're trying to be cool.
I think they're really cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, and some of these questions, things we wouldn't really answer. What's the worst thing one of your kids have ever done? Not gonna answer that. Let's see.
And let me talk to that, why we won't really answer that. One of the things I've said to the kids all the time is that they're not defined by their very best moments, and they're also not defined by their very worst moments.
Yeah.
And so
that's a really good one.
Say
it one more time.
Yeah, you're not defined by your very best moment, but you're also not defined by your very worst moment. So and I think that the nature of social media is like you can absolutely be all of a sudden stereotyped as like, oh, this is it. This is exactly. And it's like, it's this social clip that is a marked moment of a moment, not every moment of your life. And so I think there has to be some level of just, wisdom and discernment in what we're posting and why we're posting it.
That's really good, babe. I like that. Actually, I think I've shared this before. What is his name? Matthew McConaughey talks about that. His son didn't get Instagram until he was like 15 or 16. No. And he said it was because he kept asking like, well, why are you posting? Like, what do you want to post? What's the purpose of putting that into the world? Yeah. I thought that was a really good point. Okay, this is a good one. How do you convince your preteens and teens to do TikTok trends, especially if they know their friends are watching?
I think that's a big issue in general of just why they don't want to do it, honestly. I think sometimes they don't want to do it. And then honestly, there are different trends that I won't speak for Britt, I personally am not a fan of because of the implication of what that trend is, whether it's the song choice or it's the lyrics or it's, and so there's a set of moral values and ethics that I kind of personally have that informs what, I'm comfortable with.
On what to post?
Yeah. On what trends to do or what trends not to do.
Oh, fully. Well, and I think going back to the kid thing though, I think that it's always hard when you know your friends are watching anything. Right? You want to be cool, you want to fit in, you want to do all these things. And I think that it goes back to the boundary conversations. Like we teach our kids that number one, something that I really, that matters to me is one of the reasons that I started filming our family in the beginning is that I wanted to meet other families that looked like ours, like other multiracial families, and we didn't have a lot of that where we lived at the time. And so I felt very like isolated and alone, and I didn't feel like we had a lot of that community around us. And then all of a sudden when we started filming, I started meeting all these people saying, oh my God, it feels so nice to see other families that look like ours.
Yeah.
And so I always tell the kids that, like, hey, remember, sometimes like we do this for a reason, right? Like we're trying to show people like how cool it is to see people that look like you.
Yeah.
You know, so we talk about that. We talk about the purpose sometimes.
I think the one trending one that all the kids loved though is the and I don't know if it was trending or we made it trending almost, was the Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's
like
such a good
chai,
point.
you know, the chai tea. It's like
it was
chai
that movie, remember?
Yeah, it was a Spider-Man movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was like based off of that, and I think that I don't know, you can probably link to it or like repost it or whatever. But it was such a huge moment because like that the actor, the Indian actor, saw it, commented on it, and I think it gave a vision for like all of these Indian kids and half Indian kids that got to be seen, you know, got to be like their culture, their background, like what they've already got, like it got to be highlighted in a particular way. And for us, for me personally, like I love that. Like I'm all for that.
Well, we have a lot of like Indian families that watch us too, and I think that's nice. So I think part of it was we talk to our kids about the point of what we're doing, right? So we always kind of talk about the goal. I think the other thing is their friends love it for the most part. I think their friends always have fun. They always watch. And so like a lot of them, like, they know what's going on. They get excited. Our kids have gotten teased for some of the trends that we've done, which is one of the other reasons I don't like the trending videos. And so I think it all goes back to boundaries and, you know, like it's the constant balance of don't live your life for your friends and what they think is cool, but also like think through your own boundaries and what you're comfortable or not comfortable with.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, they're going to tease you for wearing a certain kind of jeans, or they're going to tease you for making a video on TikTok.
Right.
And now I think so many of their friends have it. I will say the one thing that gets tricky is that they go to school, their friends all know that they're on TikTok and YouTube and all these things, but our kids don't have social media.
Yeah.
That I would say is the biggest thing that our kids get frustrated with.
Yep.
Is their friends are like, so people know you on TikTok, but you don't have a TikTok.
Yeah. And so if you are Liam, Levi, and Lucas's friends and you're advocating for MJ, let me just tell you right now, they're not going to get TikTok, social media, probably not till 15 or 16 years old.
You know, it's like next year almost for Liam. We're almost there.
Until like 18 or 19 years old.
Okay, we switched it. Okay. Ooh, this is a good one. How do you balance social media and actually spending time with your family? That's a good one. I think one example that we have is, well, two pieces here. Number one, we don't film all day. Mm-hmm. So typically one of the reasons we don't do a lot of like afternoon or evening vlogs is that I only film in the mornings. So I film in the morning when my kids are getting ready, and probably for each of them, minus MJ, like for Liam, Levi, and Lucas, they're probably only filming for like 10 minutes maybe of that morning.
Yeah.
Like maybe.
Yeah, because they're in and out.
Because they're in and out, they're getting ready. Like I just try to like capture like 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there. MJ's a little bit more because again, she has longer in her morning with me. So that's one thing. I try really hard to only film in the mornings. Even like the extra like trending sounds that we'll do a little bit of. Things like that we do on the weekends. You know, so I try really hard during the day to just make sure it's more just us. And then our trip recently, we went to Costa Rica. We had an amazing time and we did film. We had a couple... I don't think we did trending sounds actually.
No, because it's all about those evil monkeys.
We loved the monkeys.
You loved the monkeys. The grandpa monkey tried to kill you guys.
He did get a little mean. No, but
a little mean. He ran at you with his fangs out, with his fist pumping.
We got in his like space a little bit. He did like that. We were learning. We were learning the balance and the boundaries of the monkeys. Tourists. I love the monkeys. I want to go back and see them. Anyways, so we went on this trip. We went to Costa Rica. And we did like our morning vlogs again, but most of the time, most of our vlogs were of me and you and Emmy, because Liam, Levi, and Lucas were gone for most of it. Like they were swimming, they were fishing, and you know, I don't ever want a trip, unless I guess it's a brand trip, which would be different. I wouldn't want our trip to be to prioritize the content. It would always be prioritizing our family time.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that in general, we don't prioritize the content.
Yeah.
We prioritize like our family time. And then we want to loop in the content creation as is reasonable and flexible. And honestly, I think that makes the content creation way better.
Yeah.
Because you're getting like the authentic, honest, like non-curated
Yeah.
It's literally like, this is just what life looks like
Yeah.
with us. And these are things that we're enjoying right now.
Yeah.
These are things that are frustrating right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, I think that it'll always be a balance. And you know what? Like, we're going to make mistakes. We'll have seasons where we film too much, we film not enough. And I think that as long as we learn from that and we teach our kids that we apologize and we work through it and we listen to each other, I think that's also life as a family.
Yeah. And I think in general, if we're to err one way, we'd rather film not enough than film too much.
Always. Always. Last question is safety. What are some of the things that you think we do, like, just to try to keep our kids safe online?
I think that is one of the reasons why they don't have social media.
Yep.
I think that is one of the reasons why, like, we kind of control, that social exposure standpoint of it, is because this isn't just like, this isn't, and it's such a weird, it feels extremely prideful, I guess, or like something, I don't know what the right phrase is, but it's like, it's not just a regular kid that's,
I hear you saying
posting or doing like fun little videos or whatever. It's just the amount of eyeballs that are on it is just, we just want to be wise with that.
Well, and I think too, one for me is that our kids don't look at comments. And granted, some of you little fools out there, their friends that I'm talking to, and you know who I'm talking to, will screenshot the comments sometimes and send them and text them to our kids. So they've had some go-arounds a little bit, but in general, we don't let our kids look at comments.
Sure.
And honestly, I don't really look at comments as often either. Like, so I have an assistant that will go through and she does her best to get rid of the hurtful comments. And she deletes like the ones that would hurt my feelings or hurt the kids' feelings or aren't kind, right? And then I go in and look at comments because it hurts my mental health too, right? And so we try to balance engaging with our audience, engaging with our community, but also protecting our hearts. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that our kids are old enough to look at those comments because that's where I think you can get insecure.
Yeah.
Right? So no, guys, they don't watch the edits. I love some of you guys that take your time to be very sweet and to make these really cool videos. Like I know that you care about us. I love you guys for that. But I don't show our kids those. I don't think that they're at an age where they need to. Honestly, I think that I want to be really safe and careful with that. And they already, I think, how do I say this? They're siblings. So they already have this competition between them. Right. And I don't want to feed into that by them saying, oh, I'm more popular online or I'm more popular online or, oh, wow, you're not very popular. Right. Like they just don't need any of that.
Yep.
So I think that like one day they will get social media and they'll have fun. They'll have to learn these boundaries. They'll have to learn how to honor their identities and, figure these things out. But I think that we would rather take longer and go slower, giving them access to all of this than give them too much too fast. Mm-hmm. So, but guys, I would love to hear from all of you. Any questions that you guys have on how we keep our kids safe online, really more details on what this looks like for us as we film and record and have fun. Our goal will always be to showcase our fun life in a way that's authentic, that's true, that could also hopefully, touch somebody else out there, another multiracial family or other families want to watch. But our family's always first.
Yep.
Right? So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye.